One of my most commonly asked questions is, how do you do it all? And I'm going to tell you a secret, but don't tell anyone. I don't do it all. I wish I could. I wish I was Superwoman, but I'm not. I can only do what I can do. But in this video, I'm going to give you a few tips of how you can organize your day so you don't feel like you're running around with your head cut off. Hello, welcome to my familia homeschool. My name is Marissa. I live in Miami with my husband and 3 daughters. We are a bilingual family that has chosen homeschool as the way that we will educate our children. On this channel, I love talking about resources, curriculum, ideas, tips, tricks, mom stuff, homeschool stuff. So if that is something that interests you or could be helpful for you and for your family, give us a thumbs up and subscribe so you can join us in future videos. Like I said in the beginning, today we are going to talk about how to do it all, or actually how not to do it all. If we've heard it once, we've heard it 1,000 times. It's all about balance. It's a give or take. If you were going to focus your attention on one thing, you've got to let something else go. So my first tip is figure out what your priorities are. It's so important. It's the best way to know that you are focusing your attention on something that is important. You're focusing your attention on what you want to focus your attention on. Now, your priority from 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. may not be the same priority from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Our priorities are going to be different at different times of the day, at different days of the week, different times of the year, but figure out what those are. Something that has helped me with making those priorities during my day are kind of having a block schedule. I've heard of this a lot. I haven't really investigated it a ton, but it's something that I do naturally in my mind. So I know that from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., my focus is on educating my children. That's when we sit down at the table, we do math, we do language arts, we practice the violin, we do our history read-alouds, we do our science read-alouds, we study music or art, we read our Bible. That is my priority during that block of time. Now, I know some people will block out their time even more specifically than that, and they will have their history block and their science block. Well, my blocks are a lot more flowy than that. I'm not super organized down to a key, but this is what works for me, and it helps me to have my focus on what it needs to be on. Then my priority from 5 to 7 is dinner time, and my priority on different days and different times of day is keeping my house clean. But those are my priorities during those times of day. Now, sometimes things pop up and my priorities have to change. So something that I say all the time is be flexible, be flexible, be flexible. There are times when I need to work one-on-one with a heart issue with my child, and that is my priority for that time. So math and social studies go out the window. So knowing what priority is my priority and what priority goes above that priority is really, really important. My second tip is listen to your instincts. So when you're noticing that my emotions are kind of iffy, my children are fighting against me and fighting against each other, they're giving me a ton of pushback when it comes to the things that are scheduled throughout the day, things just aren't working. You need to be in tune to that because that tells you something needs to change. So just like it's important to have our priorities, it is important to reevaluate our priorities. Figure out what's working, what's not working, and switch it up. Now, the most important thing for me, for our family, is to pray, to ask God, what do I need to be focusing my time on? He has all the wisdom. He knows all things. And so why am I trying to figure it out on myself when I can rely on His wisdom and His direction? So in my process of reevaluating, that's my first step. God, what do I need to change? What do we need to come back on? What do we need to add on? What do I do? Another practical thing that helps me to keep my focus where I want it to be are lists. Now, I am definitely, like I said, I'm pretty flowy. I'm not super organized like a lot of these moms out here are, but I do keep a list in my phone, just a simple list in notes, where when I'm homeschooling my child and all of a sudden a thought pops up that I need to clean a shirt for PE class tomorrow, I put it in my note. That way I can store that thought away. I don't have to obsess over it, so I remember it. But I can focus in that time to what my priority is, which is educating my child. Now, something that we all know, but we all need a reminder on, I know I do for sure, is get off social media. Usually, if I feel like the day just didn't go great, I feel like my head is all over the place, I feel like my interactions with my children weren't great, usually it's because I've been spending too much time on my phone, on social media. So when we feel that way, that's one of the first things that we need to look at. Am I spending too much time time on social media. I'm not saying throw it out the window altogether, but it's important to have our priorities and know that we're using our time to do things that are valuable to us, to our family, to our homeschool, to what we feel called to do, and not wasting it scrolling on social media. And my last tip is give yourself grace. Like I said in the beginning, we can't do it all. I wish we could. I wish we were super women, but we can't. We can only do what we can do. And so one day you may be a great homeschool mom, but you weren't very good at housekeeping. You might cook a 4-course meal, but your kids spent most of the day in free play, which is really beneficial actually. But there are going to be days where you're great on one thing and not so great at another. Give yourself grace. We also know, like I mentioned earlier, is we rely on the strength of God. We can't do this in our own strength. We rely on His. So remembering that every day, spending time with Him every day, and remembering He is the one that equips me, that gives me what I need to do what He has called me to do. In this case, homeschooling and momming and all the things. So those are my tips for how I do, or actually don't do it all. I hope it was helpful for you. If it was, give us a thumbs up and subscribe so that you can join us in the future with My Familia Homeschool.